Hi there, ICC members and friends, and welcome to another recap video, this time halfway through the event, through the candidates. Did you catch the event yesterday? Did you see that game between Alireza and Gukesh? It was totally unbelievable. I was really startled to see what happened in that game. So just when everyone thought Gukesh would win, he had an extra pawn, a comfortable position. Time trouble came and he blundered, and everyone saw how he lost that really tough defeat against Alireza in the last minutes of the game. Instead of becoming first and leading the event, he drops down to second place, and now Nepomniachtchi is leading the event. You know, this no increment rule for Gukesh was deadly. His nervous system couldn't cope with the 40 move control system. Meanwhile, Nepomniachtchi, he's had a really shaky start. Some of his games haven't been so good, but he's on 4.5 out of 7. He's leading the event, and now we know why he's won this event twice already. I mean, he's been tested repeatedly in the opening. For the moment, he's come out as unscathed against Nakamura and against Praggnanandhaa. They really tested his defense with black, and he came through. Pre-tournament favourite Caruana, he's playing it very, very carefully to the vest. Very solid, no losses. Really playing a good tournament, and the Indians also with 4 points playing very well. America is playing rock solid chess, as I said before, to the vest, no opportunities. Prag's opening arsenal comes from another planet. He's got Svidler helping him along. One day he comes to the Schliemann, next day it's a French. I mean, he's trying to confuse his opponents, and it's working well for him. Nakamura and Bidit, they're not 50%. But I don't think they really have a chance to win the event anymore. They're just too far away from the leaders. Anything can happen still. But for Firoza and for Abbasov, who are closing the event with 2 and 2.5, they have no chance. But they can still play a part in the tournament, winning some games against the favourites. What about the women's candidates? Tan Zhongzi from China, leading the event with 5 out of 7. Very near her, Alexandra Goryachkina, with 4.5, both of them undefeated, the same as Lagno and Leiting Li. All of them haven't lost a game yet. It's very close in the women's. They're very tough games, a lot of draws. So, let's check out a few of the positions from these last rounds. So this was yesterday's, critical and heartbreaking game for Gukesh. He's playing with black. Now Firoza, at the start of the game, went for his throat. He launched an attack on the king side, sacrificing a pawn. But Gukesh defended very well. And as you can see in the position, white's attack on the king side, there's hardly anything left. So black is doing very well. But time trouble is about to appear. There's 15 moves to the time control of 40 moves. Gukesh has around 15 minutes. Firoza is under 5. And here is where Firoza's bullet and blitz play came right into play, and where Gukesh was struggling. B4. Sacrificing another pawn to get the queen out of the way. Queen takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Trying to destabilize the rook on the knight on e4. Now, if black captured with the pawn, I'm sure Alireza had rook to b3 in mind. Grabbing the pawn on b7 and sticking a rook on the 7th. And with the knight jumping to f5, this could be very dangerous for black. Gukesh had other ideas. He sacked the knight on f2 and recuperated the pawn on d5. And now, thanks to the pin on d1, he is very sure of recovering the PC sacrifice with an overwhelming position. 3 extra pawns. Alireza holds on. First he protects with the rook. Then he protects with the bishop. But Gukesh just keeps increasing the pressure. And now Alireza finds a wonderful move. I think he'd seen it, he saw it in advance, but you never know with these players. He played queen to b3. Wonderful. And now Gukesh spent quite a bit of time going down to 3 minutes, trying to decide which of his different possibilities was the best for him. He finally decided to exchange queens, exchange the bishop, and go to an ending with 3 pawns for the knight. It's not bad, but it's a very tricky ending. He had another opportunity, but it's unclear what would have happened. He could have captured the knight with the rook. But in this case, I think that white has a very interesting move. Rook takes rook, sacking the queen. And now, rook takes rook check, and rook takes bishop. And I have the feeling that with the 2 rooks on the 8th, plus the extra bishop, white is doing very well here against the queen. Now in the endgame, 3 pawns should be better than a knight. But they're passed pawns, and they're advancing fast. Gukesh calculated very quickly. He thought he had everything under control. But look what Alireza did. Rook to the 7th file. Attacking 2 pawns. Gukesh pushed on. Knight into the fray. Rook a8. That pawn seems unstoppable. And now, with just seconds on the clock, Alireza finds an incredible variation. Knight to d7. And I have the feeling that this is where Gukesh went wrong. He missed a move in his calculations. And now he succumbed in time pressure. I think he wanted to play a3. And didn't see to the last moment that white had rook takes a3. Unbelievable. Rook takes rook. Check. Check. Check by the rook. And checkmate. I actually think he missed this in his calculations. And when he got to this position, he saw he couldn't play a3 and just fell apart. He plays king to h7 with no time on the clock. And now he's going to crumble into a mating threat. Knight to f8, a2, knight to g6, and rook takes g7. Unbelievable turnaround. And Gukesh takes down, Alireza takes down Gukesh in spectacular fashion. Gets his first win of the day of the tournament. And Gukesh misses a chance to go into the lead. He was completely devastated. Look at the images. They're unbelievable. Let's go and see another game. The other unbelievable game of the day was Hikaru Nakamura against the leader, Jan Nepomniachtchi. So Hikaru prepared 20 moves of theory in the Petrov, involving an exchange sacrifice. Totally mind-boggling. He wins the rook for a knight, gets an extra pawn, but his king comes over heavy pressure from black's major pieces. But this was his preparation. Nepomniachtchi had to think more than an hour to find and remember the precise moves until they got to this position. White's king is in trouble. A lot of black pieces threatening very near the king. But Nakamura played a4, threatening rook to a3, bringing the rook to the defense. If that rook gets over to the king's side, then the extra exchange will prevail. And now Nepomniachtchi found a wonderful sacrifice. He gave another bishop. Then he gave his knight with a double check. And then with this simple check, he hits the king. And the king has nowhere to go. If he comes up, he's going to be mated. And if he goes to the corner, he'll lose his queen. Disaster. So he went to f1. But that falls to a double attack. A trick, a fork. And now, if we count the pieces, it's a rook, a bishop and a knight for a queen. That's a lot of pieces for the queen. But the pieces are undeveloped and they don't coordinate. The queen is still better. Nepomniachtchi goes for the kill. He threatens to bring his queen into white's position and knock off that king. But Hikaru, cool as a cucumber, brings his rook to the defense. Now he can get the rook to c3, sack a pawn, but coordinate his pieces. And in this case, he might win. So Nepo knocked off the knight, and went for the perpetual check. He hits two pieces. Naka defends with the knight, and now he decides to give perpetual check on the light squares. A very good decision. Simple, but good. If he tries to win this position, advancing his pawns on the king side, he'll be in trouble. Naka would have knocked off the pawn and hide his king. And now there's no perpetual check, and the pawn will run down the board, and white will win the game. So you have to be very careful when you have a queen against several pieces. If the pieces can coordinate, the queen's in trouble. If not, the queen can win. Let's go to the last game, one of the games of the women's candidates. As we can see in the position, white has a very promising kingside attack. Anna Muzichuk, with the black pieces, misplayed the opening. It's clear she's not having her tournament, her best tournament. Tan Zhongyi, the leader of the women's candidates, playing with the white pieces. All her pieces on the king side. But we have to soften up a bit more the castle king. And you do that advancing h4, h5. Muzichuk comes to attack on the 5th rank, but the pawn goes forward. And now, no time to be lost. Tan Zhongyi blocks with the knight. Threats are important. If the king goes to g7, we get a knight sacrifice with check and a classic checkmate on h7. So black has to play g5, weakening the king. Bishop c3, knocking back the rook. f4, opening up more lines for white's pieces. For example, if the king steps aside from the pin, we take, and then we make another double attack, in this case to the knight and the rook. And that allows us to win a piece, because the bishop will be hanging. So all these tactics favor white. Muzichuk tried to defend. She hit the bishop on c3. Tan dropped back. Now she played knight to c5. Her position is very difficult. She's trying to find a way to eliminate somehow white's attacking pieces. Now the computer suggests that pawn takes pawn is the best move, but it's very tricky. Tan Zhongyi went for the normal move, f5, threatening f6, take, queen d8. e6 is the computer move with a deadly attack. But Tan Zhongyi stuck a pawn on h6. This pawn will be a winning pawn, as we'll see in the end, very near the black king. The best move defensively was to play knight e4 here. If black had played knight e4, she still had some chance to survive. But she went bishop c8, too passive. And here comes the deadly attack. e6, interception. Sack, check. And now deviation, opening up the bishop on the long diagonal, hitting the queen. Fantastic attacking skills. Queen e8. Queen takes pawn, threatening mate. Rook g8. And here, Tan Zhongyi made a mistake. She has an overwhelming position. And the winning move was bishop takes f6 and queen to f5. And even though the queens are exchanged, she ends up with a better position here. Extra pawn, good chances to win. The bishop is under attack, the rook is under attack. We get some material back here. But in time trouble, she missed this variation and she went for rook takes f6. Very spectacular. If black captures the queen, then we win the game here with the check. Double check, and we win. But Muzichuk captured and defended. And Tan Zhongyi thought she was winning here with the attack on the rook and the threat knight, queen to f5. That's why she went for this variation. But black had a defense. Very difficult to see in time trouble. Black could have gone bishop takes e6, eliminating the pawn. Take, check, take, swap. And this endgame would probably have finished in a draw. So Musichuk missed her last opportunity, and she went rook to e4, trying to block, trying to exchange some pieces, and now there's no chance. Rook takes, knight takes. Maybe she missed that knight takes queen. Knight takes, and we win the fork. So she went here, and now this wonderful move, queen to f7, forcing Musichuk to resign. After queen takes queen, pawn takes queen, there's no way to stop that pawn getting to queen. Even at the end of the game, the pawn plus the bishop make a fantastic barrier, and the king can't cross to stop the pawn. Wonderful game, wonderful attacking skills by Tan Zhongyi, which is allowing her to maintain the lead in the women's candidates. But careful, right behind her, Goryachkina, Lacano, and Ling Tenzei, both of them, all three with just half and 1 point less. Anything can still happen in both of the tournaments. Hope you enjoyed the recap, and we'll see you the next Wednesday. Good luck, and have a good day of chess.